Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to our online class. So, here we continue with our English literature. Last lesson, All Summers in a Day, written by Nora Burke. Okay. So, in the previous video, we have seen that how the children were so excited to see the sun outside and they were really enjoying the warmth of the sun. They were running and playing, and many of them were keeping their face towards the sun, getting that rays of the sun on their cheeks, on their faces. And we have seen that they were all enjoying because they have only 2 hours allotted time that the sun will be rising, and after that again it starts raining as per the weather forecast. Okay, so today we'll be continuing from page number 114, and we will be stopping, we'll be completing the lesson here, the story here, All Summers in a Day. Okay, so in the previous we have seen in the previous paragraph that the children were excited so much regarding enjoying, because this is the first time they are really experiencing this warmth of the sun, and they were basking at the sun. Okay, so suddenly what everyone was enjoying there, and in the midst of their running, one of the girls started wailing means started crying. It's the beginning of the cry. You might have observed the small children, how they start crying. They just start making fewer sounds, and then their sound all of a sudden goes into one tone. Okay, so here everyone stopped listening to the wailing of that girl, and the girl standing in the open held out her hand. And why did the girl actually started wailing? What is the reason? So when the girl all were playing and enjoying the warmth of the sun, the girl stood there and she just wailed, her opened her hand and kept like that. And suddenly she said, "Oh, look," she said, tremblingly means with a fear or with a kind of unhappiness. She said, "Oh, all of you, come on, come look into my hand." Okay, they came slowly to look at her, and all the children became very curious to know what's happening, and they actually want to know why she is holding the hand and what has fallen or something is there inside her. They were so curious to find out. So all came running together, and they encircled her, and they slowly came to look at her open palm. Okay, in the center of it, cupped and huge. Why it is said cup? Because it is little bit of what do you say, palm or palms. If you hold like this, it will be little bit of it forms a cup shape. Okay, or it's like hold together, that it can hold something inside that. And was a single raindrop. And what was that in that palm? It was a single one drop of rain. Okay, a single drop of water. Okay, so that was there inside and that was so she was holding in such a manner and looking at it so strangely that all of a sudden it fell into her palm, and it signifies something. Okay, and that thinking that, actually the girl started wailing. Okay, so in the center of it, cupped and huge, was a single drop of rain, and the girl started crying loudly. Okay, and she began to cry looking at it. Why? Because this is the sign that it's going to rain again, and that means the sun will be going, the sunlight, the warmth of the sun, the heat of the sun, the rays of the sun, everything will be now vanishing. Okay, they glanced quietly at the sun. So when they saw this drop of water in their palm, they just looked at the sun quietly without any expressions, like, okay, you are going, tata, bye bye, in the sense, or like, oh, it's very sad that the sun is going. Okay, oh, so everyone gave a very sad expression, saying, oh, right, like that. A few cold drops fell on their noses and their cheeks and their mouths. Now it started drizzling. Okay, when it started drizzling, the drops of water started falling on their nose, on their cheeks, okay, and on their mouth. And the sun, as the drizzling is increasing, or its speed, the sun started decreasing. The warmth of the sun started decreasing, and it started hiding behind the clouds. The sun faded behind a stir of mist, and suddenly everywhere it covered with the mist, and the sun got hidden behind that mist. a wind blew cold around them, and suddenly a cold wind blew around them. They turned and started to walk back toward the underground house. Now they can't stay outside, they can't enjoy anymore now, so there is no purpose of standing there. So they were all taken back to their underground house, their hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing away. And as the sun started fading behind the clouds, the smile started fading on the face of the children. Okay, and a boom of thunder startled, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other. And now suddenly there was thunder and lightning, and the storm grew its speed, the wind became faster, and the leaves, it was all like a hurricane. Okay, and the leaves started blow, waving very fastly, and tumbling upon each other, and the children, everyone were running inside to protect themselves from the severe rain that is going to come. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, and it was very severely, as we know that the planet is having very severe rainfall with very high lightning and thunder. So it started lightning, it started thunder, and it was very, very loud thunders. And the sky darkened into midnight. Suddenly, when it's going to rain severely, what happens, the sky seems to be cloudy and gloomy, and it started becoming darker. Even that light was not even properly visible, and it was all turned into dark, or like a twilight, and it's like the lightning and seems to be flashing there. They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. And it was raining so hard. Now it started raining very severely, very heavily. And everyone stood inside their house in the underground, and they were peeping, looking out of their windows, and they saw that it's raining very hard. Then they closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. And now finally the doors closed, and they felt like, the avalanches are falling on the roof of their house, because their house is underground, and they can feel that heavy rain that is been pouring down, and everywhere it completely covered with the water. So the few moments, that's very same land which was completely, became it was shining so brightly with the gloss of the sunlight, with the warmth of the sunlight. All of a sudden it just went away, and again it became the marshy wet land, the rainy water land, etc. Okay, will it be 7 more years? Now only one thought is coming in the mind of the children, that still they hardly they might have enjoyed the sun for just 1.5 hours. Okay, so now they might be thinking that will it take 7 more years we have to wait to see the sun again, because it's predicted that every 7 years only the sun will be glooming in this place. Okay, so the other children said yes, 7 years, 7. Okay, so they made like a fixed number. Okay, they said that 7 years, that means now they are 9 years old, and after 7 years they will be getting this chance or blessing to see the sun rise again and get that warmth of the sun. Then one of them gave a little cry. So as they were talking there, then suddenly one of the student among the group suddenly made a loud cry, as if all of a sudden he recalled something. And what was that he recalled? During all this time, and all the children are enjoying and taking the experience of the warm sun, one child was missing there, and that was Margot. No one remembered about her, because she has already been locked in the closet in another classroom. Okay, so one of the child, after coming back, immediately recalled, and he just uttered the name loudly, Margot. Then everyone said, what? She's still in the closet where we locked her. At this time, every child, other children who actually, involved in locking her in the room, reminded that she is still inside that room, and everyone remembered. They stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor, and they looked at each other and then looked away. Now what the children, to their surprise, to their mistake, or to their folly, or even to their guilt, they just looked at each other, stared at each other, like it just went out of their mind. They forgot that, and they also started feeling sad and bad also, obviously, of their behavior. So they glanced out the world that was raining now, and raining steadily. And when they stayed and they looked out, it's raining, and they could not meet each other's glances. They could not meet each other's, means they don't feel courageous to look at each other. Oh, we shouldn't have done that, or what we have done, like it's time self blaming the situations. Their faces were solemn and pale, and they looked at their hands and feet, their faces down. So everywhere they looked, okay, they looked themselves. What a few time before they were getting the warmth of the sun, they were basking the sun, and they were feeling very nice. And now they started feeling cold because it started raining heavily. Margaret, one of the girls, said, well, no one moved. Go on, whispered the girl. No one moved. All are looking and staring, and as if they are stumbled, and they become motionless for a second. And one of the girls said that, Margaret, come on, go. What are you waiting for? Go and get her. So go, said. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of cold rain. They turned through the doorway into the room in the sound of the storm and thunder and lightning on their faces. So as the children were going down the stairs, and they were trying to reach to that room where Margaret was actually locked, and it was severe thunder and lightning was flashing on their faces, blue and terrible. And they walked over to the closet door slowly and stood by it. Finally they reached the place where Margaret was locked, and they stood there, and behind the closet door there was complete silence. So they can't hear anything behind that, okay, because it's not quite sounding good that when you lock someone in such a room where even there is no ventilation, things can turn serious, okay. So they'll unlock the door, and even more slowly, and let Margaret out. So very scaringly, they unlocked the door, because there was no sound, nothing, no cries, no screamings. They didn't hear anything, but there was complete silence. So very carefully they unlocked the door, just to see that everything is fine or not, or should even children might be scared inside, that should they stand or run away from there, because what they have done is not at all acceptable, or it's not at all appreciable. So they unlocked the door very carefully and very slowly, and then they saw that Margaret is there, and they let the Margaret come out, okay. Now the question to think here is actually what made the children to let the Margaret come out, because what Margaret has told to them regarding the sun, the experience she has shared with them, actually come true. That means she has not spoken anything wrong to them, or neither she was she didn't say anything wrong. She didn't give any wrong impressions about the sun, or she was not boasting about what she knew, okay. And they have understood that she was not wrong, and they also felt guilty of what they have done, okay. So by this we will come to put down a curtain to this story, All Summers in a Day. The title, it's very the title is very, very catchy, and at the same time it also makes us to think that why the writer has chosen this particular title, or what is the speciality of this title. When the writer says that all summers in a day, in one day only, they though it was for a short span of time, short period of time, they experienced that feeling of the summer. As I told you, though it was for approx 1.5 hour or 2 hours, they experienced the warmth of the sun. The heat of the sun was so scorching, and it was almost, it gave a feeling of the it gave a feeling of the summer season, okay. So that is why we see that Ray Douglas Bradbury, the writer, actually says that selects this beautiful title, which is very, very meaningful. And the theme that is discussed in this particular story is that actually we see that if you take the whole story, it can be the story of the nature, it can be story, though it's a science fiction, it is again a mystery story, okay. And horror and mystery, no horror elements are there, but it gives a kind of horror atmosphere, okay, going into the deeper side of the underground house to the dark ways or corridors, and putting Margot into a closed room where there is not even a ventilation is available. So these and when they open the door very carefully and very slowly, they don't see anyone inside. There is a complete silence, and slowly Margot coming outside in silence again. Now all these actually, you see a kind of atmosphere or the circumstances that is created in a horror story. Okay, but the basic theme of this particular story is not that. It is simple jealousy that one children, especially in classrooms, in families, feel for their siblings or even feel for their friends. Okay, the children are jealous of Margot for she was different from them, because she was every individual is unique, isn't it? It's not necessary that everyone have that kind of extrovertness to feel open and mingle with everyone. Mingle means to mix and to keep a interaction with everyone. So since she had come from the earth, she knew many things than those children or her classmates who have just learned from the books or read from the books. Okay, so this is what the story actually discusses about. So here we come to an end of the story, and in this story the important things that you have to learn as your short answer question is that describe the life at planet Venus. How will be the planet Venus? How is the life? What about the people? And what about the climatic condition, etc. Then what was the reaction of the sun when the sun comes up? Okay, so these are the two questions that you have to keep in mind. And so now we'll come to the revision part from the next class onwards. That is, we'll be starting our revision with the Merchant of Venice. And if you have any queries regarding the stories or the poem which was taught to you, you can ask me and I will be trying to explain to you. Okay, so thank you. Have a good day.